in today's episode, reviewing the old, the popular, the corner fitting, the extremely reliable Nespresso Magimix coffee machine. Here we go. Okay, so today I wanted to go back to the source, so to speak. That was the moment that I think most of us felt like, let's move on to drinking real coffee and not instant coffee. With us today is an 11-year-old machine, which is surprisingly still working and in fantastic condition. We're going to try and figure out whether this has any chance against the real machines. And when I say real machines, I'm referring to the almighty Synchronika that we see here in the background. It's going to be something that we're going to talk about later. Okay guys, without further ado, this is a simple process and this what really makes this little machine into the wonder that it was, or still is perhaps. The simplicity. You turn the button on and essentially you can get started. You open the machine and you're ready to go. Okay, so that was about 12-13 seconds. Trying to actually have a look at the aroma. What do you think, guys? Do you like that? If I'm looking closely at the foam, it looks a little bit like, what is this? I was expecting it to be slightly more appealing. I used this machine for 10 years and I must admit that I was expecting a little bit better out of this. So that's the coffee. I'm gonna give it a try and see how it feels. Oh my God. Oh man. No. 3, 2, 1. I don't want to wash the cup simply because I don't think it really matters with this specific coffee. I'm looking here at the whatever, I mean, it's supposed to be called crema, but if you look at it, I follow this, you see how it kind of dissipates and most of it is actually just watery liquid and foamy. Guys, the taste is horrendous. I don't know, for some reason I thought that this had more potential. I guess I was wrong. I don't know, guys. I mean, I'm trying to compare this to the mighty ECM Synchronika. Now, this is a proper coffee machine. You properly grind the beans, you froth the milk, you have the proper 9 bar pressure. So you know what? When I used this machine, I never felt like it was a huge upgrade. I felt like, yeah, it tastes like coffee. Now I'm trying to figure out what's happening with this, and I must say I'm shocked. The quality of the coffee just doesn't stand to doesn't seem to be to do it justice. I mean, I suppose when you actually just drink this coffee on a daily basis, you put it with milk and you feel like, okay, do you know what? Yeah, that's how coffee tastes like. But then you go to a coffee place and you feel like, yeah, I had a nice coffee. I guess what you're trying to say is, I drank coffee as opposed to what I'm doing at home. If I had to put my finger on it, I would say that this is very similar to an instant coffee, although I haven't tried instant coffee for over a decade, so I don't know. But the taste of this coffee, can I call it coffee? Nespresso, please don't sue me. But I just feel like it's a huge disappointment. That's not what I was expecting. I gave it 2 runs. I gave it another go just a couple of days ago to see what I'm supposed to expect. I must admit, I mean, it's a fantastically reliable machine. It does everything that it's supposed to do. All right, so actually I wanted to share it with you kind of face to face so you can see me face to face, face to screen. So here's the capsule. The reason I have been keeping this kind of using the Nespresso for the decade I've been using it, simply because I felt that this, you know, the aluminium foil, you know, they grind the coffee and then immediately they kind of wrap it, so it's going to be as fresh as possible. What I didn't take into consideration is what's the quality of the actual coffee, what's the quality of what's coming out of it. In the video that you'll see now on the screen, I actually opened it up and I weighed it, and I mean, this is 6 grams of coffee. If you think about the amount of coffee that we start with on a single espresso, which is the very bare minimum, is 9 grams. So actually what we have here is 30% less than what's expected. That's a bit disappointing, because how much can you get out of 6 grams of coffee, even if it's the best coffee you can find? That was my issue. I guess now it makes sense. When I drank this for a decade, I could swear by this. Oh, I need to have my Nespresso. And people still talk about the Nespresso as authority, you know, George Clooney and all that nonsense. But this is something really interesting about life. You upgrade your life to a certain level and then you feel like, yeah, I have this now, I used to have that, I have this. But it's very hard to trace, maybe the first time, the second time, and then you forget the difference. I think that's really interesting, because I always felt like it's a good coffee machine, it's the best, the coffee is great, but what is there a real difference? Was it worth it? I am so pleased to say that following trying this murky mud, it's like taking I don't know, bitter water and warming it up. It really is horrendous. Guys, if you use Nespresso, I'm not trying to look down at you or tell you you have to change it, especially when the difference between, I don't know, 100, 200 pounds machine to a couple of £1,000 machine, I mean 10 times more. Is it worth it? That is the question. But beyond that is, can one afford it? And is this the most important thing you want to have, you know, in your home? It's a tricky one to answer, because we live by our means. Well, I wish we did. But if you really care about coffee and it matters to you, I make 1 coffee a day, probably 2. And I thought, I'm going for it, I don't care. You don't need to be a caffeine addict to really appreciate it, as long as you just want to really enjoy your coffee. And you know what? You wake up in the morning and you pour yourself a good cup of coffee, it makes all the difference. It feels great, it really feels great. I honestly, this doesn't stand to any level, any standards. By the way, the milk does wonders to a coffee. So you warm up the milk around 60 degrees centigrade, and the milk becomes a bit sweeter. Now, if you pour that into anything, including vinegar, it's going to have a nice taste, because the milk is masking, you know, what's underneath to an extent. So you have a cup of Nespresso and you think like, lovely coffee, tastes lovely, tastes rich. It's the milk, it's not the coffee. And in fact, when you also go to the proper coffee machines, if you aim to get cappuccinos, the blend is usually going to be high roast, or whatever it's called. There is a term, heavy roast, something like that. So it's not heavy roast. Gosh, for God's sake. Light roast, medium roast, and you tell me. So the coffee, it becomes more intense, it becomes darker, and the flavor really penetrates through the milk. Most of the Nespresso capsules are actually a mix. I would say, this is a guess, but probably 50-50, if not more, of the Robusta. This one is the only one, the darken, which is Arabica, 100% Arabica. But even 100% Arabica, I mean, I don't know. It really doesn't stand to my expectations on any level. I was shocked to find out. Guys, do you have any questions? Do you want me to keep on exploring the Nespresso, or keep on exploring the ECM machine, or any particular machines that you want me to review? I'm going to find out how to get my hands on any machine and deliver. Once again, bitter disappointment to the Nespresso on this occasion. By the way, guys, I will put a couple of links at the bottom for this particular machine. Of course, you don't need to go and buy it. Yeah, I'm going to try it again. I mean, Jesus Christ. Oh my God. It's awful. It's just bitter water. I mean, if you look at it looks like you put some soap in the water and you mixed it. This is not crema, it's just a soapy, foamy stuff. This is my opinion. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day. Take care.